Howdy, howdy, traders. It is Thursday, so it's time for our Thursday morning open mic show. We're going to start a little bit early. I like to give a chance for the chat to fill up. Got a few topics that I want to cover today. Got my split screen working, and a couple just thoughts that come to mind. And if anybody wants to chime in, please let us know. I don't know how you guys do this. So I'm looking at the chat right now, and we got TM Nerdy. Morning, TM. How's it going? Hopefully, got something working with TM, and you'll be hearing more about that as things come up. Nick, Comic Culture. How we doing, Nick? Nick's a great guy. Eric, the other Eric. How we doing today? Tacky 616. Good morning. I don't understand how all you guys are able to keep up with these chats. It's insane to me. I mean, I try my best, especially like you'll go into like Lamer Frame or Comigories or the Sunday morning show with Comics Will Break Your Heart. You go into these chats and TM is just like flowing with it and talking to everybody and keeping up with conversations. I don't know how you do it. Like, it blows me away that you're able to do that, because it floors me completely. I get much respect for that. I can't keep up. But I try my best to keep up with the chats and answer questions. I'm really just an old analog guy, so things like that are kind of rough for me to keep up with. So if I ever forget somebody in a chat, please forgive me. It's no disrespect. I love you. I love the community and all you guys. You add so much to this experience of this hobby that I can't say enough how much I just love hanging out with you guys. So Eric, I'm convinced TM's ability comes directly from Tim Hortons coffee. That and all those donuts, right? Trade Paper Dad, good afternoon. But yeah, it's amazing to me how some of these guys keep up with it. I mean, it's a young man's game for sure. I'm just trying to hold on and hope I don't make a fool out of myself every time I go live. Sure, I probably do, but I'm going to do a little bit of showing off to get things kicked off, and then we'll launch into a couple subjects that I wanted to kind of address. Missed it. Where are you? Joe Medina, welcome. Good afternoon. Showed up this afternoon to chat with us. I was at, I don't even know where I got these from. Probably Ross or someplace like that, just some real cheap. I was able to pick up a nice black suit Luke Skywalker for my Star Wars show. Probably take that out of the box, put the lightsaber in his hand. That one's pretty cool. And then I found a Kanan Jarrus. I've been trying to get a hold of an old school Kanan for a while. I would also like the Kanan with, the mask on after he had been blinded. Really dig the character, and I think we're going to see him showing up on Bad Batch here soon. And which would be super cool. Of course, yesterday was new comic book day, and picked up a few books. Got a couple books from the LCS, so we're going to do some cleaning and press on. Kind of showed one of them off yesterday, and I was going to show that, but I was really glad to grab this. We got Red Sonja, #1. This is the Dynamite, really a facsimile reprint of She-Devil with a Sword, the old Marvel issue #1. So got that one, very cool. Listening to a little heavy metal in the background there. And then we got this one, Eve. So I don't know much about this book. I grabbed this one because Bueller, as I drive up to the comic shop, I just put, it is Bushima art, I believe, Eric. I believe it is. The interior art on that book is fantastic as well. But when I drive up to the LCS, I plug my phone into the Bluetooth and I listen to Bueller's Top 10 as I'm driving up to the comic shop every week. And he was talking about this one, kind of made it sound intriguing, so I grabbed it. We're going to take a look real quick. And we're going to see what this, of course, is the 1 in 25. Wow, very nice. So we're looking at this one. Right now, we're looking at $25 average raw sale on this book. So not a bad investment, but it seems like a really good story. Bueller seemed real pleased with it, so I thought I'd give it a run. There's a couple of those in here this week. Web of Spider-Man, issue number 1. Of course, this going into yesterday was a super hot book. I mean, we saw trending sales of about $20 on eBay. I don't think it's going to hold there, obviously. That was prior to New Comic Book Day. I don't know why people drop that kind of money on an issue that isn't released yet and it's going to be readily available. But, we don't dictate the market. So Nick says he was pretty good. Looking forward to number 2. Yeah, I need to go track down number 1. I don't know why that one flew under my radar, so I'm gonna grab that for sure. But I grabbed both copies of Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man. I used to, back in the day, this is where I started my collection, of course. It's with Marvel Tales of Spider-Man. I've since trimmed down. And I'm not collecting ASM. I actually just added a bunch of those to the for sale pile from the personal collection. Because it's not a title that I was really attracted to. I always had preferred the Spectacular Spider-Man back in the 70s. Because Spectacular dealt more with Peter Parker and what was going on personally in his life. So to me, I connected with Peter Parker more than Spider-Man, right? So I was always much more into Spider-Man or the Peter Parker title. And the Marvel Tales, I read those. And they don't really hold much value. But my first 3 comic books were Marvel Tales, which are reprints of the ASM 60s, early 70s titles. So in my personal collection, I'm doing Spectacular Spider-Man. I want to complete that run before it gets out of reach. We were looking at number 1 yesterday, a seriously undervalued book, Spectacular Spider-Man number 1. Which is a pretty major key in my opinion. I mean, you've got the first appearance of Tarantula. I don't understand why the book is so undervalued. Like it is from 1976, December. Average raw sales at $30. And you've got a 9.6 average graded sale at 157. So I'm not really sure why that book is so undervalued. I would think that it would be, with Spider-Man being as popular as it is, would be a much higher book. I think there's probably actually books in that run that are higher than that. I would imagine. Yeah, there's one right there. So number 9. And what's that? First appearance of White Tiger, because of Falcon Winter Soldier, of course, which has seen a higher price. I'm pretty sure I have that one. I don't have number 1 yet, so I'm on the hunt. So anyway, where I was going with that is, so I do Spectacular. I'm completing that run. I'm completing Marvel Tales. I've got 3 books left, and I'll be done with Marvel Tales. And they're just throwaways. As they come into the LCS, I'll grab them. I'll have a full run of that original Marvel Tales run. But I do Marvel Tales because of the personal meaning, because those are my first books. I'm doing Spectacular because, like I said, I always connected with Peter Parker in that book. But I was on Web of Spider-Man from the beginning. My collection of Web, issue 1 through 24, are the 2 years that I subscribed to the title, my original copies. I read them, put them in bags and boards, and put them in the box, and they haven't been touched since. So we still have those. Probably need to be rebagged. Let's see what people are saying here. Stanley, Peter Parker is one of the best characters because he is so relatable. I would agree with that, especially for teenage boys, and they translated that, so it's timeless as well. Back in our day, that's why Stanley created Spider-Man and created Peter Parker, is so that those of us at that age would relate to that character. And I think when I hit that age in the mid 80s, where I was connecting with what Peter was going through on my level, I don't think that story is any different than somebody that came to that age. My son came to that age in the late 90s and connected with Peter as well, and really connected with Ben and those stories. He's a huge Scarlet Spider fan. And then I see, my grandchildren starting to connect with Miles in much the same way. So I really like that about Marvel Comics, because it's hard to connect with Bruce Wayne, even Dick Grayson or Damian. It's hard to connect with those type of characters that are over exaggerated, for lack of a better word. So these spider characters, the more human characters of the alter egos in Marvel, really connect, and I think that's why I like that book so much. I do enjoy the new Spider Shadow, that What If title, and like people that aren't really into the Spider titles, those 5-issue limited runs are great. That's kind of where I'm at nowadays. I don't connect so much with Peter as I do with some of their other characters. Matt Murdock from Marvel is one that I connect real strong with right now. It has a lot to do with faith and being older and understanding the world more. But anyway, Web of Spider-Man, second series, it was a fantastic read. I would agree completely with what Bueller said about this book, that it was really lighthearted, just a fun adventure for younger readers to help and get them started into the Spider-Man universe. I really enjoyed that one. And let's take a real quick look here. That's not showing up on Cover Price yet, so I'm really curious what that book's doing, but we'll see where it ends up. I don't think it's worth the $20 that finished eBay listings yesterday were getting for it. It's just insane. I think those people jumped the gun on it and are probably going to kick themselves. Peter Parker, Amazing Shutterbug. That must have been during that time period where I wasn't reading books. Maybe I'll go back and track that down and take a look. There are quite a few books that I'm noticing have some classic cover comic book art. Some classic. Apparently, the Ghost Rider King in Black cover had an homage to Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell. It didn't connect with me, and I heard that on somebody's podcast yesterday, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta get that. Let's see, I also grabbed Bounty Hunter number 13. This is strictly a investment buy for me. There was a lot of buzz about the book. I guess there's a new character in here. So a pure spec book. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. Eventually I'll get to, I want to be a Star Wars completionist, so it's not going to hurt to have that around. Of course, another one that's been real big, Bunny Mask. This $25 book. This is the 1 in 10, I want to say, be kicking off a new horror anthology series from Aftershock. Kind of getting to take the place take that slot that Maniac in New York was in. Haven't had a chance to read it yet. Heard fantastic things about it. Very cool. Nick says Bunny Mask was fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I as I get older, my tastes get more into the horror, the sci-fi, that type of stuff, as opposed to superhero stuff. I still read some superhero stuff, but a real big one for me is, of course, Ha Ha, and I got something super cool in the works right now. Can't wait to show it off for my Ha Ha collection. So Bunny Mask, I read this one on preview and really, really enjoyed it. Cherry Blackbird. If you have not read this book, I'm not going to give spoilers. I don't like doing that, but it is a deal with the devil type book. Super, super cool book. Hive Comics has a killer Maria Key cover for Cherry Blackbird, and I was really excited to get this. I was trying to get a hold of that VHS cover, and I wasn't able to get that one. But these are readily available. Nick, like I said, Hive Comics up on their site right now has the Cherry Blackbird, their Cherry Blackbird Maria Key, which is super cool. See if I can bring that up. So that's a super cool book. Do they have singles left? So you can get, they're sold out of the A cover. Wow, they're sold out. Everything here. You can get them in a 5-pack. I know you can grab this off eBay too, because they have. There is somebody that grabs these and sells them on eBay, but Maria Key cover for that is really outstanding. It is a great book. I can see this going places. It definitely has legs. I've said it before. If Hive Comics is making a cover, then I'm all in. John really knows his books and really knows what to grab. So, well, look at that. Little Snot's in the house. What's up, Booger? And let's see, what else did I grab? Wow. Not a lot. I didn't grab a lot this week. Got Geiger, of course, issue number 2 or issue number 3. We get some, there's a, I'm being told that there's a backstory in this that gives us a little more background on the Geiger character. I haven't read it yet. This is another one that the dealer was talking about on the way up to the LCS. So I'll be reading through that one. I read the first Geiger, really dug it. I read about half of the second one, and that's as far as I've gotten. So I need to catch up on Geiger. Of course, the American Vampire, 1976. We're deep into this run, book 9. I actually grabbed these. I dig that cover. I'm kind of a punk rock American Vampire. Really dig that one. I grabbed 2 of these. I got a buddy that I buy for, and he'll be grabbing one of these covers. I give him first choice. He picks one, and I take the other one. For the personal collection, that's a good story. Really like that one. For my Detective Comics 1037 this week, I chose a B cover for the personal collection. I just love these trade dresses. They're doing spectacular work on those. So I dig that. Oh, kid, there ain't nothing as old as I am. I'm just saying. American Vampire has had the covers on these have been spectacular this time around. It really does. Um, Happened to be in the LCS when a collection came in the other day, and I was able to grab a couple books. Got Deadpool 1, and of course McFarlane's Spider-Man #1. Both are going to press out into a real high grade, and I'm going to get these off to CGC. I grabbed these because these are a couple books you can get for a relatively low buy-in, and with the small investment of getting them graded, you can quadruple your investment there. So you buy them for less than $10. Once graded in a high grade, they top $100 like every time. So really excited about those. And then of course he sets a huge pile of books right in front of me for me to look through. A handful of Spawn, Sam and Twitch on the cover. Gotta love a good Sam and Twitch cover, right? So I got a handful of Spawns. They're going into the personal collection. And these are less than $10 Spawns. I didn't pay that much for them, obviously. I got them a couple bucks a piece. Savage Dragon on the cover. I am selling off my Savage Dragon collection. So grab those for the personal collection. It's like Nick had a question here. The books that released on NCBD with dark colored spines with color breaks already on them on the crease. Yes, they do. Any spine, any break, the grading company should deduct for. What they don't deduct for, and this is a discussion. I'm in a group of professional pressers, and it's a question that came up. There was a 9.9 that had a small tear. It was a Canto #1. It had a small tear up here. It's a known bindery defect, and they have stated in the past that bindery defects don't count against grade, but you still cannot achieve more than a 9.8. That being said, this book got a 9.9, and we're going back and forth about this type of stuff. Spine ticks will never be considered a bindery defect, mainly because a spine tick comes from manipulation of the book, and that causes the ticks, that causes those color breaks, and that is something that, although could happen in the bindery, typically happen within shipment, and it's hard to make that determination. And for that reason, they don't typically allow for those. And yes, Marvel Black is a thing. I tell people about this, and nobody listens. You got Marvel Black, DC Yellow. DC Yellow is awful, and Marvel Red. Those three colors in those companies are very problematic. Marvel Black being the worst of them, because Marvel Black will crack every single time. But take a good hard look at it, and you've got a difference between a color break, which shows blaring, it's white, you know that the color is broken on it, and what's called a micro break. Micros are ticks that you kind of think you can see some white, but you're not sure, but it's there, and it might not be. Kind of a gray area at best. If you get the book soon enough before the ink has really thoroughly cured, there is a chance, a small one, maybe 30%, that pressing will seal up those micros. And I've done it in the past, but it does not happen every time. Spider Shadow was a book with a ton of bindery defects and a lot of color breaks. You know, that's really true. That I think that it's quality across the board in storytelling um, and in the quality of the books that we're getting. And I think it's a level of care. We've been seeing Second Side Publishing, and this is just my opinion on the subject, but we've been seeing Second Side Publishing a lot in our circle. They've been doing fantastic stuff, and the books are good. I mean, they read well, and they're high quality. They care about the quality of their product as well as the quality of the stories they tell. We see that with Second Sight. We see that with Bad Idea. We see that with, we got different issues with Bad Idea, but we see quality books from them, both the quality of the product and the quality of the stories that they're putting out. And I think you find that across the board. Boom, kind of slacking off lately, in my opinion. So is the quality of their production. Aftershock, stepping it up a little bit, and we see a little bit nicer books from them. So I think the two definitely go hand in hand. And then, of course, this is the final book I'm going to show. I showed this real quick with Fable and TM yesterday. But I got this in, it was a $4 swap meet find. Found it at the swap meet for $4. I'm just going to pull it up real quick so we can really show off value and all of that good stuff. Number one. I think I'm going to watch heavy metal today. Wow. Very nice. So, Batman, issue 183. So, of course, 1966 Silver Age book, 12 center. If you can get a 12 center for $4, buy it. Just buy it. I don't care what the title is. You're going to double your money at the very least. They're great investments. This one in fantastic shape. We got a few spine ticks on it. A little bit of ink on the back cover that's going to come off. We've got some ticks here and some grime that'll clean right off. But we've got a really nice high mid-grade book here. What I find interesting about this book, I don't know if it'll say it on here. No, it doesn't list it as a key. Minor key, second appearance of Poison Ivy. Very cool book. Raw sales averaging 461. I would imagine that this would really be a $40 to $50 book as it sits. Last graded sell 175 for a 9.0. Or average 9.0 is 175. Highest graded 9.0 is 175. But I think we're looking in the 7.0 area once we get it cleaned and pressed. We'll put a little over $100, $130, $140 for this book. So super cool book. All right. So that is what we've got. They read well. Is there a way to read a prestige book without damaging it? You can never guarantee that you're not going to damage a book when you open it, because that happens. It just happens. I've seen people read with, they'll take backing boards and open a book and read it. When you're talking about books like Amazing Fantasy 15, Daredevil 1, which has gone just insane in the last week or so. When you're talking about those kind of books, the best way to read them without damaging them is digitally. Just get an ebook subscription, buy a facsimile. Most of your prestige books have been read to the point where you can they're so popular that you can get them reprinted somehow. Now, if you're talking about like prestige format books, there really isn't. Prestige format, the way they're designed is when you open them, it's going to damage the fibers along the spine of the book. And that's intentional. That's just a design thing. So there really is no way to open those books without damaging them, unfortunately. All right, we'll see you later, Joe. You have a great day. All right, so the big announcement that I've been working on. So at one point, my thought before I got overwhelmed with pressing was to open a comic store, do all that kind of stuff. I had grand plans. I have accumulated thousands and thousands of comic books. I'm doing yard sales. I'm doing bulk sales on eBay, that kind of stuff to kind of whittle that down so I have more room for other stuff. I need to add a few presses, that type of stuff. And I've tried this in the past a couple times. But with what Bueller is doing lately with the mystery boxes, it kind of gave me the idea that I want to start doing this. I'm going to start producing some mystery boxes, mystery-ish boxes, and I'm lucky enough that I work closely with the Nerd Store and Brain Damage. Is it Brain Damage Comics? And Dr. Volts, and of course I buy a lot of Comic Con mystery boxes, have in the past, and then Hive Comics, of course. But I have tons of exclusive cover books. So I'm producing, and these are available now, some mystery boxes. Each box is going to have at least 7 books. Of those 7 books, one of them will be an exclusive store variant, mostly either Comic Tom or Hive Comics, but I do have books from, Torpedo and that Spider-Man booth and, all over the place. I even have some foreign stuff that we're going to throw into the mix. And then each box will have 6 other books, 2 Marvel, 2 DC, and 2 Indies. Those books will all, right now, range from $2 on up in actual value. So you're going to get some books that are worth, a couple bucks, but maybe cool old Spectacular Spider-Man or something like that. Or you may get a $10 book. Who knows? And then in random boxes, I'm going to put some books that are range from $10 to $60. So you will get. So my first batch, I've done. I got tons of those. So I'm doing 25 boxes for Flight 1. Each of these 25 boxes will have 6 books, plus an exclusive, plus a 9 is 18, a 36% chance, because I've got 9 higher end books, so a 36% chance of getting one of these other books, which will include a Horizon Zero Dawn Peach Momoko Hive exclusive 9.8 slab. And buy-in for this, $35. That includes shipping to the U.S. So if anybody is interested, you can go to theroguetraderutah.com. I have the boxes up there for sale, or shoot me a message, and I would be glad to hook you up with one of these boxes. What I've done is Bueller was kind enough to ask me to give him feedback on his box grading system. So I looked at that and I'm like, so this is a great way for me as a retailer to put together a box that I want to be an A+. So I put together boxes that meet all and exceed all of his criteria, in my opinion. Of course, and it's tough because I can't just send him one and say, review this for me, because there's conflicts of interest and that type of stuff. So I don't want to put him in that position. But I'm hoping that I get at least 25 people that have enough faith in me to purchase these boxes for only $35 a piece, and will leave me enough positive feedback that we can make this work, and I can move through some of this inventory and help sustain the business. And you know what? I think I'm probably going to add some coupons for free pressing while I'm at it, because that would just make sense. So that is my exciting news. I'm going to drop the link in case anybody's interested. Coming on, chatting about just about anything, comic related, of course. I really appreciate that, Eric. You know, like I said, I buy Comic Tom's box. The reason I buy comic, I'm not a mystery box buyer because I, like everybody else, have been burned. There are companies out there that I've got the boxes in, and I paid $120 for a box. They're like, oh, that's great, exclusive, and a chance to win this and that. My goal is to make sure that if you're giving me $35, I'm giving you $40 to $45 bare minimum value, and that $35 includes shipping. So to me, it's if a book is worth $20, and it's a beautiful book that's worth $20. If I'm going to go down to my local comic shop and buy it for $20, I feel that's fair because it's a $20 book. If I'm going to buy it on eBay, I'm going to buy it for $20 because it's a $20 book. Not $20 plus shipping, $20. I know that's kind of an old school way of thinking. That's why when I price things on my webpage, I go by cover price, I take the average, and then I drop a couple dollars because I want it to be fair and I want you to feel like you got a good deal. And I don't need to, break the bank and take the last dollar out of your pocket in order to make this work. And that's kind of the thought behind it. But I buy Comic Tom's boxes. I think I get value every single time. I like the artwork. I like the fact that one or two books going into it. His Something is Killing the Children variant this month, and you've got literally 5 days to sign up if he still has them available. I bought like 6 boxes because I wanted to make sure I get the set. And then I'll be able to sell the additional Something's Killing Children and throw them in mystery boxes in order to compensate myself for the money I spent. So I think the value is always there with Comic Tom's boxes. I've never been able to buy a Bueller box. I would feel confident buying some Bueller. That's more because of a personal relationship I have with him. But, I think that's a great thing that he's doing for the industry and setting us up to have some transparency when it comes to those boxes. And I'm using that as a springboard to kind of launch this. And if it works, what the plan is going forward, if I can build that up and move through enough mystery boxes, it'll help me out, of course. It'll help me get rid of thousands and thousands of great books that I have. And I mean, titles like Spectacular Spider-Man, and Daredevil, Batman, Detective, Action, Spawn, stuff like that. The oddballs, the Alpha Flights, which is a great book, just not a popular title. Alpha Flights, Excalibur, stuff like that. I give away to kids or put them in a quarter box or sell for 10 cents a piece to other stores and whatnot. So you're not going to get that type of book. You're going to get a really good selection, but it'll help me out. And then, of course, I work closely with Hive, and when they have overstock and stuff like that, they've agreed to help me populate the boxes with their exclusives. So it's a win-win for everybody, especially the collectors, because those books are killer. And then I'm going to try to get some of the Nerd Store exclusives. Greg at Black Cat has some great exclusives too. He has a Kiss cover that is just phenomenal. Got Peter Criss on the cover for Black Cat Comics. I can't do better than that. So that's that. And again, that's at roguetraderutah.com. If that's something you're interested in, you can snag one of those. So one thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is that's come up recently. Looks like we got 20 minutes or so. I want to talk about CGC and kind of what's a trend that I'm seeing happen in the community. My pressing business, I've been very lucky that I've got enough comic book shops in the area and built fantastic relationships with these awesome people. Greg and Charles and Roger at the Nerd Store and John and James at Hive Comics. That they keep they between that and my partnerships with Rod and Bob, I'm going to be a comic book presser for the rest of my working career, which is fantastic. But something concerning has happened in the last couple of weeks. We see I've gone from running all of my presses full time to I'm about 75% capacity at the moment. And I mean, I run a lot of presses, and when I was looking into this to try to figure out why this is, I kind of come to the conclusion people aren't sending books to CGC. It's the turnaround time, and even CBCS, their turnaround time has kind of jumped because of that. But people are in a position now where we've seen the videos from some of the YouTube community where they're opening up these returns from CGC and there's bent corners and there's damages and Very Gary submits 25 books and gets 13 of them back on his pre-screens. So it seems like the quality has gone down, and this isn't a criticism of CGC. I really don't have a horse in that race. I've just recently became a facilitator for them, so I haven't been grading books at this point, and I'm just starting to. And I'll have my first batch going out this week. But with longer turnaround times and what seems to be lower quality in customer service and lower care for the books and a higher grading standard, I've heard a lot of people recently say, I'm holding off on sending my books in. People that were sending me, like I had one guy that was sending me 25 books a week. He'd send to me, I'd press them and ship them off to CGC. It's been 2 weeks now, and he has no intention on sending any more books until they get their turnaround times down. So just a kind of a negative way that they've impacted the industry and some of us that rely on that business. And it kind of just really sucks that we're beholding to CGC to get this fixed on their end. Now they have lowered turnaround time significantly. At one point, I was seeing 261 business days, and now they've got that down to 68 business days for a modern. So I think that's, definitely a step in the right direction. Speak of the devil, we were just talking about you, Bueller. Good to see you this afternoon. But it's just something that I noticed. I don't know if anybody's got any thoughts on that. I have noticed that Hive Comics is now taken to, they're opening up the options of going to CBCS to grade books because of turnaround times. And I know a lot of people that are in the flipping game that are, because when you're flipping books, timing is so important. But they're getting to the point where they're wanting to send to CBCS just so they can get the books back in a timely manner, so they can sell them at the peak of their value. And we see that a lot. I can't remember what book it was, but there was something that James was talking about. And he's like, I've got to send CBCS. So I'll make 10% less on the sell, but I'll make 50% less if I send it to CGC because of the weight. So that's kind of an unfortunate thing, but just some observations that I've made that I was really curious about. Let's see what else. So I watched Loki last night, and of course that's all the buzz right now. People kind of speculating on. I'm seeing some book speculations about it, but more so, what's the meaning of Peggy Carter in the show and the analog systems and all the Infinity Gems all over the place and that kind of stuff. Me personally, my thoughts on Loki, without giving any spoilers, it was okay for me. I wasn't really thrilled with it. I don't know how to explain it. It just kind of fell flat. Not for any particular reason. I really enjoyed Falcon Winter Soldier. That's my MCU wheelhouse. I liked WandaVision. That was fun. But the Captain America and those lateral characters, that's kind of where I'm at, and have been at for a while for MCU and all that. Either the Captain America crew or those street level defenders. So I really like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even though I felt it got a little preachy once or twice. But that's the world we live in. And I expect to see some of that from Loki. But it just, I didn't care much. Like, for me, the best part of that whole show was when he was kind of reflecting on, when he was reflecting on his past and the thing with his mother and all that, the events that hadn't happened in his life, but were on his future self's timeline. So that, to me, was the best part of the show and felt the most like what we've seen from the MCU. But other than that, the DB Cooper thing was fun. And I hope we see more of that type of stuff in the show, because that was fun. So we'll see. First episode, establishing. I didn't really care for Owen Wilson's character. I liked and I'm horrible with names, but I liked the cop, that main cop that she was just going around zapping people and beating people up and schooling Loki. I thought that was a super cool character. I want to see more of her. Just real fun. But Owen Wilson, I could take or leave what he was doing in the show. Hopefully that'll come tying in. I kind of got the Mephisto vibe, and then I was like, oh yeah, they're not going to go with that. So yeah, I would say I would give it a solid 3 out of 5 for the first episode, and we'll see where it goes. Howdy, Steve. Right on. We got plenty of room in the presses at the moment. Just doing a couple odds and end jobs. Some of the personal stuff I'm sending off to CGC. And am I missing link? Oh, there you are, missing link. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Let's see, 10 minutes or so left. Let's see what else. Let's see, we already addressed the CGC thing, and again, really concerning to me. And it sucks because I went into a local game store recently, and because thought I was going to get back into Magic, bought a bunch of cards, and decided no, that's just too much. So I sold them to this gentleman that was in his store, and we were talking about grading, and he asked me why nobody creates another grading company, and it all goes back to one of my biggest pet peeves since coming back into comic books, and I think I've heard Bueller kind of address this as well. You collect how you collect, and if you like slabs and all that, more power to you. I want you to be happy with the collection that you have. My collection, as everybody knows, is all low grade, bin red, rips and dog-eared corners and that kind of stuff. I've got a couple books that I've done what I can to preserve them long term, just to preserve the history, but I'm not one that buys into it has to be graded in my personal collection in order to have worth. It's bizarre to me that we give these companies so much control over the value of our hobby. And that's not to say that they don't care. I believe that the people at CGC and certainly the gentleman that runs CBCS cares about our hobby, cares about these books and preserving that history. I don't think it's about that. And I don't fault them for making a buck. I'm a comic book presser, so I do the same thing. I don't, and it would be hypocritical for me to take a different view on that. But I do believe that comic grading is subjective. I saw a video with a young man that was going through his collection, and every book he picked up, he was like, "Yeah, I got 6 of these, and they're all 9.9s." And then he'd set it down and grab. I got 4 of these, and they're all 9.8s, 9.9. That's subjective, but I can guarantee you that if you take 6 of them and send them into CGC, they're not all getting 9.9s. Very subjective, and to give that much gravitas and that much power to these grading companies, I think does a disservice to our community and the value of our books. But that's just my personal opinion. And that being said, I've done a lot of research into preservation of comic books and the products that they have since CGC. It used to be the old CGC cases, in my opinion, were damaging to the books. the new cases that they have really have done a great job in fixing that. So they breathe, they allow the but they allow airflow and humidity control and stuff like that. So the new cases aren't damaging to the books, and I think long term will help preserve the books. So you know that's pretty good as well. Um, I agree. Every single book in my collection is the grade it needs to be. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be in my collection, right? I love that theory, that thought. Yes, some Jim Min books. Not sure what that's supposed to mean. They are all 9.9s. That's true. To me, my personal collection is invaluable. I've recently gone to listing my books on Cover Price so I can keep track of them. It's a great tool for that. And I don't even look at the value. I guess I should for insurance reasons. I mean, we need to know that kind of stuff when life gets in the way. But my run, I'm looking at my Conan box. I got a complete run of 1 through 200 in one box, 200 plus. I'm missing 2 books in those boxes. I could get a lot of money for those. Never going to sell them. So they're at that point they're kind of worthless, but they mean everything to me. Turn it up to 11. 5 2s, man. Now see when I'm doing my books, I will not do coverless books. I've got 2 coverless books. One is a Flash Gordon from 1938, and then I've got Action Comics number, it's either 8 or 9. I can never remember, but those 2 I've got coverless because I'm never going to have them. I mean, I'm lucky just to have them coverless. But I won't do a coverless book, and I won't do books with rusted staples. I've kind of laxed on that a little bit. I came across some really hard to find foreign Conan books that I ordered that have rusted staples. That was a big issue in the Philippines. So I'm going to replace those staples and chamber the books to arrest any rust or sporing, and then hopefully I'll have something I can put in my personal collection. But we all have our quirks. Off-World Adam, how we doing today? Good to see you here. We go to 11. It's one more. It's one more, man. You know, he probably could. I think that we as a community would trust a Bueller's comic grading service if anybody. So back to this conversation I was having with this gentleman about grading. I when I first got back into comics a few years ago, I had thought about starting a grading company because I used to do some grading for a company, and I know about books, obviously, and like physical condition of books. And I've been told by other people that my grading is very, very spot on. I grade harsher than CGC, in my opinion. But I was thinking about doing a grading service and doing it for people that want an inexpensive option for books. Like you slab Hulk 181, you slab even Hulk 182, but Hulk 183, maybe don't slab it. It's a $20 book. So are you going to spend $20 to slab it? Doesn't make sense. But if you can get somebody to grade it out for you for $10 and put it in a nice Mylar bag and all that, I thought there might be a market for that. It's really hard to break into, super hard to break into. So I think that if anybody was going to stand a chance at breaking into that, it would have to be somebody with a reputation of a Bueller or a Bob. Um, I was about to say Robbie, but I think there might be a conflict of interest there. But you need somebody with that type of reputation that like I know 110% that whatever I send, if I were to send something, if I were to take a book and send it to Bueller right now and say, grade this out for me, tell me what you think. He's going to say whatever's going to come off the top of his mind. He's going to say, oh, that sucks. Look at that. It's a piece of crap. Or he's going to say, yeah, it's fantastic, but it's got a little, whatever he says, I'm going to take as 100% honest, upfront truth. And that's the kind of reputation that you have to have in order to think about starting a rating service at this point. I see PGX is trying to get back into it. He sent Comic Tom some stuff. Tom was very diplomatic about it. I give him credit. He was really cool about it. Didn't back talk him, just said, it's not for me, but this is what they're doing. And it looks like they did a good job. So it'd be interesting to see if PGX can bring it back around. I personally will never send a book to PGX, but, to each their own. Mold on books. I do a lot of molded books. It takes some work, and not every molded book is worth saving. There's a really famous video that Tom did with a buddy of his where he had the first Iron Fist. I think is it the first Iron Fist or first Sabretooth? Might have been first Sabretooth that had a ton of mold on it, and he kind of showed the process of doing that. But yeah, you have to chamber the book, and it takes some chemical alteration to the mold spores, because mold spores will attach to paper. The fibrous nature of paper allows for that, and you have to actually physically kill the mold and change that in order to get that off the book. So I do a lot of mold removal. Foxing is mold spores just getting started, and they will leave a stain. So foxing can be arrested in the same way. Was the book good? Was it good? I like PGX grading, and if you put in a 20 spot with your book, you get 2 grades higher. I'm under the understanding that is no longer as true as once it may have been. Tim Bueller isn't vocal at all. No, he's not the kind of person who's going to speak his mind. So, but yeah, I would actually like to do. I mean, I've archived books for people before, and when I archive a book, I will take the book and I will press it and clean it. I chamber the book, so I'm sure that there's going to be no rusting or sporing, that all that is gone. And then I put micropaper in with it that keeps the book from releasing gases that are going to damage and yellow the paper. And then I put it in a 4mm Mylar with a clear backing board so you can see the front and the back of the book, and seal it with a holographic sticker. That is a service I provide. I don't do many of them, but I have done a few of them in the past. And it's cheaper than getting a book CGC. And from my research and my knowledge, it will last longer than a CGC slab. So if your goal is to maintain the health of the book long term, that's obviously the way to go. But some people want that gravitas of having that perceived value that CGC or CBCS will give it once it's slabbed. And there is something to be said for the process and the way it's supposed to work, where you have multiple eyes looking at your books to get a real honest grade. I know in the past that's a process that's been called into question. But I'm not to say how they do business over there. I know how grading company worked when I was working with them. So that's just my opinion. And that's another thing we got to keep in mind. I try to make sure that everybody understands. People tell me all the time that I'm so knowledgeable and all this kind of stuff, and I'm really not. I've taught myself. I've learned a lot, and even with all that I do and know, I'm constantly learning new things. So, it's just being my grandfather, a very, very wise man, told me to never allow yourself to know everything. And that's kind of my philosophy when it comes especially to this. Well, I appreciate that, Steve. I appreciate that very much. And you're always sending me just the coolest books. And more than anything, that's the best part about what I do is people send me just the coolest books to work with. And I get to do, Batman 180. What was it? 183? Batman 183. I just got craziest thing. I just got like 2 Ultimate Fallout 4s that I swear are, I don't know where I set them down at. I shouldn't say that on camera. I don't know what they do with your books. Oh, they're sitting right there. I just brought them down. I set them down. So I got these. Gentlemen had these pressed, and they came back at 8.5, and it really sucks because the only thing wrong with this is notorious on this book. Just about everyone I see has this. It's almost a sub crease. Looks like the whole book was folded in half. Almost every one of them has this crease right down the middle. And I don't know if I can get the light to pick it up. It's kind of hard on the camera. You can kind of see it there, right across Miles' chest. But yeah, it really sucks because once those are out, that's going to be at least a 9.2, if not better. I think we got 9.4, 9.6s there. So, and I mean that's just education, right? I had done quite a few Ultimate Fallouts, and you work really hard on to get these books perfect, and then they get into humid Florida air, which rehydrates the covers and causes little imperfections like that to pop back out. That's an issue. There's a few different things that cause it, but I had to actually create a new type of stack to do Ultimate Fallout 4 because that crease will go down about 3 or 4 pages depending on the book. So you have to press each page individually in order to get those out. And it's funny because when I was teaching myself how to do this, I was practicing on another book of that era. I'm trying to think of what it was. It was, but it had the same black and everything on it. Hey, Big Herm, what's up, buddy? You're gonna have to catch a rewind. We're just about done. But I was actually doing it. I thought I had this great idea that tourmaline was it, and I was going to use my wife's Chi hair straightener to kind of straighten those out. Man, stripped the ink right off the paper, destroyed $100 hair straightener. I mean, the experiment is part of the game, and that's how you educate. And we know that is not how to press your Ultimate Fallout 4. And gladly, I didn't try it on that book. So, but just to recap real quick, the Rogue Trader mystery boxes are available at roguetraderutah.com. They are $35 a piece. They do include shipping. You get 6 random books, 2 Marvel, 2 DC, 2 independent books. Guaranteed value anywhere from $2 on up on those. And you will get an exclusive comic from either Hive Comics or one of Comic Tom's exclusive books. There's 25 available. I also work with a couple local artists, so I've told them that I would include just a little, real little, postcard size piece of their artwork in it, some cool stuff. And then you have a 30, what did I say it was? 36, 36. So a 36% chance of getting an extra book that's going to be valued anywhere from $10 to $20. The boxes themselves, I will guarantee you, are going to be at least $40 plus. So really a good deal. If you're into that kind of thing, I showed you the covers. We've got we've got this guy. I mean, I sold one of those for $40 the other day. Batman the Detective, Torpedo Comics, Comic Tom, the best Joker #1 cover out there. Eternals #1. We got a Ninja Turtles Momoko 110. That's got the previews of Last Ronin in it. We've got Tom's Red Sonja. We've got a Virgin Buffy the Vampire by Shannon Mayer. I've got, I mean, a Hive exclusive is minimum $15. So, and I don't even think I have any of the $15 ones in there, but they go like crazy. So those are available. RogueTraderUtah.com. $35. You can get a stack of books mailed to you. I do reuse Gemini mailers, so don't dog me for that. It's recycling. If I don't do my part, then the daughter will freak out on me for not saving the earth. But yeah, go check that out. And if you're interested, let me know and we'll get some out to you. But I'm going to call it. And I appreciate everybody showing up and asking questions and being part of the community. If you ever have any questions, please reach out. And I'll talk to you later, traders.